Happy Monday. Oh, it's a glorious Monday. What a joy. If you haven't been murdered yet by a nutbag, it's true, we have an epidemic of crazy people, what we used to call the criminally deranged, or the Views audience. But they're everywhere, on the streets, on the subway. One is sitting to my right. But they're also in our city halls, our governments, in our district attorney's offices, from New York to Chicago to LA to Baltimore. And they're spreading faster than Omicron. It's not funny anymore. On Saturday morning, a maniac waited as a train entered the Times Square subway station before he happily pushed an Asian woman to her death. Michelle Elisa Go, aged 40, was murdered that morning. The killer stuck his tongue out at the police like a third grader out the window of a school bus. The perfect metaphor for bail reform or any other garbage that passes as social justice reform. But if you dare ask, why was he out on the street? Well, you're probably racist. Or worse, a Republican. Meanwhile, this punk just murdered a teenager, allegedly, in a Bronx Burger King. It's his idea of having it his way under the new Attorney General. Here he is shouting about reparations and slavery. Hell, he sounds like every Democrat member of Congress when they're on Twitter. And if you disagree with him, well, you're probably racist too. Meanwhile, on the opposite coast, a UCLA grad student was fatally stabbed by, you guessed it, a deranged creep. Brianna Kupfer, age 24, was alone working when a man believed to be homeless knifed her to death. Why was he out on the streets with a knife? It's probably your fault because you just don't care enough. There's also Sandra Shells, a hardworking nurse who died after being attacked by a homeless man near the LA Union Station. He's probably just down on his luck. Then there's George Gascon, the city's woke DA, who says he doesn't want to send another deranged maniac, a 26-year-old transgender woman, to jail for sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl over fears that the deviant will be attacked. Oh yeah, God forbid a guard uses the wrong pronoun. Gascon recommends home confinement for the perv because they's trans. Cool, George. How does the guest bedroom in your house sound, you clown? But if you agree with me, I bet that makes you transphobic. I gotta hand it to the deviant. They're grifting the grift, meaning they see how to exploit the woke insanity with the help of progressive lawyers. They are woke to the woke, if you will. By the way, can we stop calling these people woke? They're as woke as the statues they love to tear down. Meanwhile, those woke prosecutors may not be criminally deranged, but they're racking up impressive numbers that would make any Batman villain envious. The only thing that separates them from the psychos they're setting free is a trip to the Men's Warehouse and a thesaurus. The Joker has nothing on Larry Krasner. Under that fool, Philly has gone from a low of 248 murders in 2014 to 562 killings in 2020, a new all-time record. If only the Eagles' offense could put up those kind of numbers yesterday. Like I watched the game. The victims of this violence are almost entirely non-whites living in the poorest parts of the city. But if you plead for solutions, you'd probably be called a racist. Because lots of those killers are also black. Hell, the KKK couldn't ask for a better solution. Do nothing. Meanwhile, Chicago, under Kim Foxx, has seen more than 800 homicides in 2021. Levels not seen since the 90s crack epidemic. The good news, Fox has saved the city a few $1 billion by not prosecuting homicides. So you go, girl. And if you don't like what she's doing, well, then you're probably racist and misogynist. Of course, there's the hostage crisis at the synagogue in Texas, where an anti-Semitic fiend took a rabbi, among others, hostage in order to free a terrorist. Initially, the FBI said this attack wasn't related to the Jewish community. Probably. They were waiting to pin it on a white supremacist.
We have seen an incredible rise in rhetoric that is anti-Semitic being trafficked all around the country, because we were seeing an exponential rise in hate crimes and an exponential rise in the formation and the membership of these extremist organizations, many of which are white supremacy organizations.
Way to jump the gun, you jackass. Of course, even mentioning the maniac's religion makes you Islamophobic, and we don't want to make the squad cry again. I just hope the hostage situation won't keep the Biden administration from going after those domestic terrorists attending school board meetings or voting rights acts.
I will defend the right to vote, our democracy against all enemies, foreign and, yes, domestic.
Yes, domestic. What a great time to be alive if you're criminally deranged. Because you got us. You paralyzed our weak leaders with the fear of being smeared as racist or worse, a Republican, if they try to fix anything. So they now accept the idea that random crazies can murder innocent people, especially on the streets, where homelessness is the go-to choice by unhinged people. And an unhinged person will likely commit unhinged activity. No one in power makes this connection. The person who chooses to live crazily is more likely to do crazy things. Fish swim in water, bears roam the woods, and the criminally deranged wander the streets punching Asian women. And thanks to progressive DAs, it'll happen again. Another student murdered, another Asian woman killed. And why is it always Asians? I'm thinking these street thugs aren't doing it in retaliation for the Wuhan lab leak. Now, when I was a kid, I saw movies like The Warriors, Death Wish, Sudden Impact. Gangs roamed and committed inexplicable violence. How quaint does that seem now? Because even in those movies, we at least admitted criminal behavior was evil. And it was the good cop against the evil criminals. The lines were clearly drawn. But in our world today, it's good cop versus criminals and also versus the corrupt justice system, which is scarier than all the Halloween movies combined. Let's welcome tonight's guests. He's a monocle away from being the actual Monopoly guy. Host of Kudlow on Fox Business and former director of the National Economic Council, the great Larry Kudlow. She's never let a defendant take the fifth of her vodka. Outnumbered co-host Emily Compagno. And his beard has antibodies against Just for Men. Writer and comedian Joe DeVito. And Janice Dean mistakes her for a wintry mix because she's a white mess on the ground. Fox News contributor Kat Timm. All right, Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Gonna be on Soul Train later?
I like my outfit.
I do like it too. I do like it too. But it's a, you know, it's a retro jumpsuit kind of thing. I was complimenting you. Don't get me in trouble with HR, Emily. All right. Here's the thing that I've noticed: that there are no more sane criminals. Like anytime something happens where somebody is murdered, they will. Okay, even including the transgendered, the male to female trans. They're saying he's developmentally disabled. It's almost like these progressive DAs are building a force field around people that are arrested. Oh, they're insane. They're mentally ill. Clearly, some of them are. But every one of them?
They are creating the most vulnerable victims to be the ones that are the defendants. They're putting them into such a tiny box that then we have to protect them. Let's talk about this crime explosion for a second. So law enforcement last year solved more homicides than they had in 5 years. But because the homicide rate had skyrocketed, the clearance rate actually declined. And the issue, people aren't dabbling in shoving people off the subway platform into the tracks. It is the same people that are committing the same crimes over and over and over again. It is a recidivist rate. So even before COVID, 2/3 of every violent offender that had served time were rearrested for another violent felony within 5 years. Now, there is no deterrent consequences whatsoever. That pool has brought in so much. Let's take your girl, Hannah. You know what she did? It says assault in a bathroom. She took the 10-year-old by the throat, she shoved her into the stall, locked her in, and then shoved her hand down her pants and groped her. She was also arrested for, in other states, battery, drug abuses, other offenses, violating parole and the like throughout the country. And this is the kind of person that Gascon wants to protect. You want to protect someone in prison, you put them in the SHU. The specialty housing unit, the solitary housing unit. There are ways in prison via the Department of Corrections to keep someone safe, right? Unless you're Whitey Bulger. But otherwise, guess what? I don't give
She's trans. She has to stay home because she's trans. And I wonder, God, what a great scam. By the way, to your point about the recidivism, you know, I don't like saying that word, recidivism, because it's hard. Yeah. But do you know one of our staffers actually recognized the subway pusher because he'd been pleasuring himself often on the street. And this is something that is regular. If somebody is masturbating publicly on the street, chances are he's mentally ill and should probably be behind bars for other things. But that was just an interesting fact that now I can't get out of my head. Larry, how are you?
You weren't referring to the CNN legal analyst.
Nicely done.
Just checking. Just checking.
Yes,
Hi.
very good. What do we do? Oh, by the way, isn't it weird how we can't deduce that somebody who lives on the street might be inclined to violence? Like, we can't even say, like, if there's a large group of people on the street, chances are they're willing to take other risks, right?
Yes, they're probably more rational than anyone wants to believe. I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
Here's what I know. No bail, no jail. This is what you get. Okay? People who have mental problems, fine. Deal with them, but they should be done so while they're under incarceration.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You don't let them out on the street. You've had this wave of lawlessness. It started, I don't know, a couple of years ago. Joe Biden's America seems to be characterized by it. Nobody wants to put anybody in jail. Everybody's got a reason, a liberal, left-wing reason. I'm sorry. Folks want to be safe, okay?
Yeah.
Even legal analysts at the other network want to be safe.
Yeah.
And the fact remains, put them in jail. Look, what's going on here in New York City with this guy? Half of his staff just walked out.
Right.
Okay? They just left because they're prosecutors. They could be Democrats, they could be Republicans, they could be progressives. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
They believe in law enforcement, so they hear his shtick and they just up and leave. The guy in Los Angeles is a joke.
Yeah.
People in Chicago. What is it? 15 major cities across the country with record homicide rates.
Dang.
Now, are they crazy? They may be crazy, but they should be crazy in jail. I'm sorry, that's where they belong.
Exactly. You know, Joe, the one thing that's harming this is the idea of context. When you hear about a crime, oh, you're missing the context. This person has been in and out of institutions. This person had a rough life. No. Just need a variable: victim, perp.
Sure. Yeah. Well, people seem to be forgetting you could be mentally ill and an
Right.
They're not mutually exclusive things. Yeah, well, and one of the things I think that we're not hearing about enough is that these violent people on the street, most of their victims are other street people who are very vulnerable because of their addictions and mental illness and all that stuff.
Good point.
But we're in this weird situation where we have society split into another two groups. Well, three groups, actually. You have people at the top who make laws but don't obey them. You have the elites. And at the very bottom, you have a lawless class that's causing all this trouble. They're chaotic. They're dysfunctional. But no one arrests them. No one keeps them in jail. There's no incentive to not commit a crime. And in between, you have everyone else like us who's getting squeezed.
Yeah.
Because you call the cops, you might get arrested.
Right.
It's very easy to come up to that family that their kid's mask is slid down in a restaurant and stick the cops on them. That's an easy case. That appeals to the people on top. But to go and say, where's the guy who's going around harassing people on the subway? They don't want to do that.
The same day that the subway push happened, I guess, was an arrest at Applebee's for a protest, an anti-vax protest or something like that. That's what we're doing. Kat, this weekend, you spent quite a long time with the mayor.
I talked to the mayor for like a minute at a comedy show.
Yes, but he came over, he recognized you,
Yeah,
which
he
means
said
he
hi.
watches this show, which means he could be watching right now. And we asked him to be on this show, Kat, and his staff said he was too busy, but not busy enough to go to a comedy show. Hey, Mayor. Well, you know what? This isn't funny anymore. Why am I yelling? You could just turn me down or turn me up. Kat, what say you? How is your relationship with the mayor going to help this?
Well, given my very, very close relationship that I now have with the mayor, I'd say not quite best friends, but almost there.
Yes.
Very impactful minute. I'm going to have a huge influence here.
You should be his Miranda.
Oh, jeez. Look, I just don't see why this is controversial. I think this would be, if I were mayor, which I'm sure I will be someday.
Yes.
Especially now that I have my mentor, Eric Adams, who I spent so much time with and talked to for so long.
Yes.
This shouldn't be controversial. Of all the things that you can, stand on the side of, I feel like violent criminals is an easy one to be like, no, let's pick something else. I want to do away with almost every law, but I do draw the line at like rape, murder, those sorts of things. Those should be illegal. I feel like no matter what you believe in, all of us, I feel like it's pretty important to us to not get murdered.
Yes. How does Cam feel about your relationship with the mayor? Your husband.
He was getting look. I mean, he was getting a little nervous just because we were connecting on such a deep level.
Yes, exactly. It was weird. Because, it was at a comedy club. It's super loud and it's packed. But there were you two just like eyes intent, just talking.
A lot can happen in 1 minute.
Yeah, it was the eye lock itself. It was just insane. And I thought maybe you and him together could solve this problem.
Oh, 1 minute is just the beginning of very many to come.
There you go.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.